I've seen, the plows have come down the streets to keep it from building up to a significant level, but it hasn't been excessive. I think in other years, there's been times when plows have come down the street when, they're just driving down the street. I have not seen that. I've seen them come down, on a basis to remove 2 or 3 inches of snow that's accumulated in the middle of a storm, and then that one last pass, and then I haven't seen them anymore. So I feel confident that that's being watched carefully. And of course, there's different crews in different locations, so it's hard to say that it's consistent across the entire town, but it appears that the Public Works Department is paying attention to the contract plowers, and the roads have been safe and clean, and as you said, looked at numbers and compared them on road miles from other communities. We're spending far less and getting a better job done.
Mike?
Sorry, start with Joe and then.
Okay. I echo the comments of both my other selectmen here. I got one email. I didn't get a number of them or a number of calls, but I did get the one email, and I know you gentlemen got it too. And I'm not going to mention any names, but just so the public will know, the email said, "Why don't we let the snow pack down on the roads more?" And, this is no way to have a safe community if you're going to let the cars pack the snow down. Absolutely ridiculous suggestion. The roads have to be cleaned for the safety of the children, the drivers, the automobile operators, the pedestrians. People actually are amazed at what a good job we do, and as my fellow selectmen have said, at a good price. So I am thoroughly happy and convinced that the DPW is doing it as economical as they can, and they're doing a fantastic job.
Sean?
My comment is this. I agree with what Bob had said. I think the DPW does a terrific job, and I think the approach this year has been somewhat different in the past years. I, too, in past years would see plows come down my street. It's a very small street, essentially repeatedly plowing bare pavement. This year it's a different approach. It does accumulate somewhat before they come down the street time and time again. I also want people to know that the fact is looking into trying to confirm the information that was provided by Mr. Hamlin, not that we're doubting him, but to confirm and also to let the public know whether or not per road mileage we are as good, if not better, than the surrounding communities. And that's an ongoing investigation that the FACT committee is doing. Disagree with my brother, Mr. Vino, in terms of the email that was sent. I don't believe the resident was suggesting that we should allow it to pack down. I believe the email was more towards, if it's on a Sunday and it's snowing late, should we wait, do it more on a Monday? The concern was overtime cost and so forth. But I think the response that was given to that one resident that sent that email clearly pointed out the issues with not doing that, and the cost wasn't an additional cost. So I don't believe anyone is suggesting that the snow should be packed down for a day at a time before it's cleared by the DPW.
Joe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have to respond, Mr. Delaney. I respectfully disagree totally, and I will bring the email in at our next meeting. The email said, let it pack down for a few days. That's what they did when I was younger. There was no mention of overtime money for cleaning up that snow whatsoever. Not an email I got. And your name was on the one I got, so I have to assume you got the same one.
It's probably had enough debate.
Yeah, no, I just want to make that clear.
Jeff isn't going to let it go by. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Jeff, you at 427 Park Street. There's no doubt that the roads are beautifully done, okay? I run on the roads every morning. So I run on the roads because they're safer than the sidewalks. And that's a big issue here in the town. And hopefully this can be addressed with the DPW. If you look at 28, you'll notice that the sidewalks are not done at all. Okay, that's a prime area where people actually do walk on the roads to get either to Walmart or to McDonald's. Not everybody has a car, and sometimes people cross. There's no crosswalks. Heather Wright wrote a very sad article in the transcript, not article, but letter to the editor, having witnessed the death of a woman on
We're
28
aware
there,
of the death.
and she was on the road. And in her letter, she indicated that this person was walking on the side and got hit. The problem is, obviously, that a great expenditure is being put on squeaky clean roads, and that's important, but the pedestrian is being completely forgotten about as far as the main areas, and I'm not talking about a side street or anything like that, the main areas, 28, especially around where the Walmart area is. Now, I will be sending you a bunch of pictures that I've taken that shows that in front of the businesses, areas are not done. Okay, they're not shoveled, they're not cleared. And I know that a few years ago, we passed a town law stating that they are responsible for keeping their sidewalks clear of snow at town meeting. So this is a very important issue as far as safety is concerned, because though it's safe for the cars, it doesn't make it any more safe for the people who do have to walk, even if it's only one person. Even if it's only one person. For 2 years, I've been wanting to write a letter to DPW and so on and say, are we going to wait for someone to get killed? And I feel guilty that I have not sent that letter. I'm as guilty as anybody. So hopefully, with all this expenditure that the DPW puts into clearing the roads, they should take some and clear the main areas. Not only the areas where you're required by law because of the schools, but the main areas, 28 Park Street, things like, places like that. So, I just thought I would share that with you, but we have had somebody die under the name of safety for the roads and not for the sidewalks. So, thank you.
Thank you, John. Next item?
Board members, the annual town meeting warrant?
Just a question, with respect to capital expenditure for fixing the windows in the library, would that be aimed at a special town meeting article, or are you considering that to be a capital article
We would,
in the regular town meeting?
actually, per request of the board from the meeting that took place a few weeks ago, we would list it as a warrant article on the annual town meeting.
Annual town, okay.
Yes, and it would be done as a separate warrant article as was requested by the trustees. Just to refresh everyone's memory, the cost of that is $28,000. That's the estimate that's been received by the library for the painting of the exterior of the building. Our board members, Article number 1 is routine. It's for the annual town election. Provides for the election of town officers. Article 2, dealing with hearing and acting on reports of town boards and committees, is routine also. I'm expecting that there will be a number of boards and committees, as there usually is, that makes reports to town meeting. Number 3 provides for the Director of Public Works to accept various easements necessary for the installation, maintenance of roadways, water mains, public access to the public, and this allows for that to be done without any cost to the town. Article number 4 provides for the treasurer to enter into compensating balance agreements. Per Mass General Law, this has to be approved and authorized by town meeting. The intent of it is to save the town some money that it would normally expend in paying a bank to provide for banking services. So, in result of it is the town does receive a reduced rate. However, that rate is offset by the amount of banking services which we receive from our bank companies. Article number 5 provides for the authorization of the town's annual Chapter 90 funds, which are to be used for roadway construction and reconstruction. Typically, what we like to do at town meeting is establish what the dollar amount will be, and that amount will be included within the motion.
A question for you, Greg. and this has got to do with federal monies that might be coming. Do we need an article? If we're giving federal monies for roads or buildings, would we need an article in the warrant if that money?
No, there's been no inclination in terms of how those monies would be sent to cities and towns, none whatsoever.
But if it was a grant, we'd have to accept the grant, but that could be done by the vote of the board. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have some general article put in the warrant to deal with whatever.
I actually put I remember we spoke about that previously with Dave Hanlon, and I've actually spoken to legal counsel in my office, and they're not sure, because they're usually the ones who deal with the dispersal of how the representative's going to deal out the money and how they're going to figure it out. And I'm going to put a call into Congressman Tierney's office and see what they're going to do, because we've had the exact same, in my office, we've had the same questions from a couple of the communities that Rep. Jones represents, and where hopefully we can get an answer about how the money's going to come down.
Okay.
Sometime within the next month or so. I don't know if that's a good explanation or not, but
Well, what I was thinking in terms of if there's some general, not knowing how it's going to work, but if there's some general article language that can be put in, it would save us from having convening a special town meeting or something to deal with some projects that might get approved.
I think well, what I was told was that they were, since the timing of a lot of town meetings in Massachusetts works this way, they're going to try and put it together in a way that it can get to us without us having to convene a special meeting. That's the word around the State House at the moment, but they're not sure how it's going to actually come down.
Greg, you might inquire too to see if you can get any better picture of what's going on with respect to that.
Certainly.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, the next batch of articles is reauthorization of revolving funds that have already been in place. Those include the Conservation Revolving Fund, the Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund, the Damon Tavern Revolving Account, the Rain Barrel Revolving Account, the Recycling Promotion Fund, the Department of Elder Affairs Revolving Fund, and the Emergency Management or All Hazards Revolving Fund. And then lastly, the proposal for the Youth Services Revolving Fund. Those are all warrant articles that have been approved in the past. They must be approved annually by town meeting. They must set the dollar amount. The limit on each revolving fund needs to be established within the body of each article. It needs to state what the expenses will be for in a general sense, and what board or committee has authorization to make those expenses. So those amounts will be inserted in each of the motions that eventually does get provided to town meeting. If you just turn the page to the next article, Acceptance of General Law, Chapter 32B, Section 18. It was pointed out in the transcript from last week. We'll be submitting an article. I've recommended an article to the board which provides for enrolling of our eligible retirees in the Medicare health insurance program. The intent of this is to save the town some money. And
This will also potentially be a requirement in the governor's budget proposal, as I recall.
so the key words, just by way of explanation, this is similar to an article that was brought up in 2006. It states eligible retirees, so you have to meet two prongs of eligibility. The first is you have to be age 65, and two, you have to have a certain number of quarters where you've paid a Social Security tax. So those employees who I call young retirees who are not eligible for Medicare will be able to remain on the existing MHMO plan without any difficulty. And similarly, there are a few employees that we have who have worked in the public sector throughout their career and have not paid any Social Security taxes. And those employees, regardless of their age, will be allowed